There he
is.
is.
Lou is
Hi,
a
Lou, how you
Corvette
doing?
man.
Well, I'm amazed that I even got into this Zoom thing. So I wasn't sure if I was ever going to make it. But
Well, you're on. Good to see you, my friend. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really good. I better get myself up to the right height so I can actually join this properly.
There you go. Move that chair. I don't want to lose sight of that beautiful Ferrari behind you.
I know. Isn't that amazing? I tell everybody I moved to Texas 40 years ago, and I had to borrow $1,200 to get here. And the couple races that I did in ASA, I had to get a ride. I got a ride from an Indian tribe, and I blew the rear end, but I was bumping bumpers with Kenny Schrader at Brainerd International Raceway. So it's been a long time I've been racing.
Lou, you're a multi-time champion, having had great success in full-body road racing machines throughout your career. Congratulations with all of that. What in the world made you decide to become a private track owner?
Good question. I think a little touch of insanity, but I've been like all racers. Racing is like an addiction. Okay, it's really like an addiction. And I tell everybody that racing was my heroin, and this racetrack is my rehab. And so I built my buildings for my company, which was originally LG Motorsports, and we started selling parts and headers and things like that. And it just exploded. It turned into a great business. And so I kept selling my buildings. Whatever I built, I tell everybody everything's for sale except my wife and kids, because I wanted to be able to finance these other things. And so I ended up, I bought 75 acres just north of Dallas, and a really nice area. And I went to a Corvette event at the Corvette Museum racetrack, and Mitch Wright was there. He was running the show. And I said, Mitch, how many acres do you have here for this whole event, this whole track? And he said 150 acres. I said, paddock and everything? He said 150 acres. So there were 75 acres available next door to me. I negotiated with the guy, and I probably paid 4 times more than I paid for the first 75 acres. But I thought, okay, now I have the potential. Let me see what I can come up with. It took me 7 years to get all the designs. I started with Hermann Tilke in Germany. He did Coda. And then I got Bob Bernard, another international track designer. And we finally designed a really good racetrack. But then it took me another 4 or 5 years just to get the financing. And it turned out to be a SBA loan. And so I was able to borrow the money, get this thing started. Well, then this economy went crazy. So I pretty much had to sell everything I had, which is okay, because it all went into the racetrack. And now we're selling these garage condos, which there's a couple other places like the Motor Enclave, and then the one in Pontiac, Michigan, and
M1.
M1 Concourse. Yeah. And they built these garages around the racetrack, but they didn't really have a racetrack. They had what they called a performance track. I really wanted to have a racetrack. And yes, we wanted to have garage condos, but we wanted to build a real racetrack. A 3.1 mile racetrack. We have one corner has 13% banking. I have another corner, which I took a picture of Mossport turn 5A and B. I took a satellite picture. I gave it to Bob Bernard, and he put it onto the racetrack. So my turn 5A and B is exactly the same as Mossport, except we didn't get the uphill. But we still have the same corner. It was kind of fun, but we have a racetrack. We just had Friday afternoon track day. We had 100 cars show up. I mean, the track is finished. We're working. I mean, the thing is, top speed. I did have not that Ferrari. I had a Ferrari on the racetrack, and we cracked 151 miles an hour on the straightaway. So it's a good racetrack. At the end of the straightaway, it's downhill, and so it's a real technical racetrack, but it's really fast. It's really fun. So that's what started me, I guess.
So of course, we're talking about G2 Motorsports Park out there in Texas. How is the Texas market for this type of facility? Obviously, you're not that far from Dallas, and that's obviously a very highly successful area.
Well, part of what I wanted to do, I wanted to build this track. I wanted to build my company building in Collin County. We're only 29 miles from Toyota's national headquarters. I hope that somebody watching this some manufacturer will volunteer to be my official car, so I can have a driver's school with their official car. But Toyota's only 29 miles away. We're in the county, so we're not in the city limits. So the restrictions are not there. So once we accomplish not being inside of a city, there's no noise limits or anything like that. Even though we're going to be friendly to our neighbors, it's we haven't even cracked 90 decibels on any track day at all. But we wanted to be in the county so we wouldn't have all the restrictions. It's also a little less taxes, and so we accomplished that. And so we're in Collin County. We deal with the county instead of some city, and that's allowed us to build probably one of the nicest tracks around.
You've talked about the racetrack surface itself. Tell me why the facility is different and as nice, if not nicer, than some of the others around the country.
Well, the Texas dirt is really spongy. It's almost Texas clay. And in order to get this right, so that it wouldn't have to be replaced and repaired, every 3 years, even Coda had a problem. They had to fix theirs. So my dirt contractor was Mike Sinicola Contracting. They literally dug down 10 feet, and then they replaced the dirt 9 inches at a time, and they moisture stabilized it and compacted it all the way up. So anywhere from 6 to 10 feet. And then they put 2 feet of flex base, which is crushed concrete. And then we got Austin Paving, which is the other first-class company in Texas. And Austin Paving came in and they put 2 different layers of asphalt. The first layer was regular DOT asphalt. The second layer was a Formula One mix. I mean, it's got grip. It's finer gravel, and we used Echelon paving. So we had three asphalt machines that actually did 1 lap. It was a 2-day or 3-day process, but they used 3 machines, so there's no cold joints in between each layer, between each run. So it's pretty unique. The dirt underneath is perfect. The asphalt on top is perfect. It's 40 feet wide, 3.1 miles long. We put a dog leg in so we could slow people down if we had to. And then we have 38 feet of elevation change from the highest, which is Mossport Turn, all the way down to the what we call our downhill uphill. It's a 38-foot drop. It's not all at once. Ride a bicycle around it, you know where the hills are, because I do ride a bicycle around it once in a while. So we get out of that downhill uphill, and we have the ability to split it into 2 tracks. So we have an east track and a west track, and we have an A-shaped pit lane. So if you're doing the east track, you're on one pit lane. If you're doing the west track, you're on the other. But they both use the same pit in if you're going to run the whole track, and then you just go around the top of the A-shaped pit lane, and our clubhouse is right in the middle of that A-shape. So pretty interesting design, really first class. We did our pit wall just like Formula One. We gave them a 4-foot, 5-foot sidewalk where they could put their timing pedestals up there. So I've raced everywhere. I mean, I've raced everywhere in America, and I went to Nürburgring. I did some 231 laps at Nürburgring, and I've raced everywhere, and I just tried to make this a little bit of every good track that I've been on. So that's our story. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's a great story. This private track market is very different. Will you host any fan style events, or will it always be strictly private?
Well, we're in the process now. We've requested an inspection so that we can, hopefully we can get a level 2 so we can race a Ferrari Challenge or an IMSA race or Trans Am race or any of those. We're looking to get a level 2 inspection. We do want to have races because the people that are buying these garage condos, they have an outdoor balcony on the second floor, and they're able to sit out there and they can watch races and they can enjoy themselves. And some of these garage condo owners have requested that, when are you going to have some races here? So we'd like to have some SCCA races. We would like to have some other pro races. So we'll just see how that pans out. But it's a good track. It's really a very interesting track.
The private track market, as we were saying, is different than if you were building a Road America, Mid-Ohio, or Laguna Seca.
Yeah.
You have to think about different things to attract, quote unquote, members to buy into your facility as opposed to just a fan for a day. So when you're trying to attract that member who's purchasing not just a membership at the facility, but then he's going to build one of these condos, he's going to buy into that. When he's all in, he's spending a significant amount of money to come be a part of your facility.
Yes.
What are the things that today's potential member is requesting or maybe requiring, whether it's your facility or M1 Concourse or one of the many that are popping up around the country these days?
Well, the unique part about ours is that we have a real racetrack. The racetrack was designed with racing in mind. The garage condo owners, they get a certain amount of member days, but it's a place to drive fast, drive safe, and drive legal. Literally, I was doing 120 miles an hour on my side of the fence, and there was a sheriff on the other side of the fence. And I pulled out there and I laughed and I said, "Isn't it funny that I could drive 120 miles an hour right past you on my own racetrack? But if I came out here, you would arrest me." And then after we laughed about it, I gave one of them a ride around the racetrack. And I've done that a couple times, and I've had only one sheriff throw up. So, but it's been a blast. And so I had a fire or a police department supplier bring a couple police cars out. I could only get 98 miles an hour on the straightaway. My Porsche Macan GTS does 123 on the straightaway. A Ferrari, just a street car, does 151, not even a race car. And so when I took this police car out, I said, when I hit 98 miles an hour, I said, no wonder everybody outruns you. He goes, that's top speed, 98 miles an hour. So brings me back memories when I was a kid.
I bet.
I won't talk about that.
Yeah. The amenities is what I find interesting that you have to consider for a track like if you're building a country club, because that's basically what you've done. If you're building a golf course country club, you're going to need some tennis courts and a spa and a nice dining area and things of this nature. What are those amenities now that I have to have at a private track compared to, the yacht club or the golf course to attract that guy to come spend the money with you as opposed to them?
We got a 25,000 square foot event center. It's a clubhouse event center. I've got one manufacturer that's already talked to me about it. They're going to do 5 weeks of dealer training, and they're going to use the east track, the west track. They're going to use the paddock area for autocross. But we have a 25,000 square foot clubhouse, and it's got 3 floors. The third floor is just for race officials. The second floor is for members, and the first floor, if we have an event, we're going to have a Starbucks type coffee shop counter. Nothing like a full restaurant, but the catering availability around here. As soon as we finish this clubhouse, we're about 6 weeks away from totally finishing the clubhouse. We're going to have a big grand opening for all the members, and we've got a couple levels of memberships. It's a one-time initiation fee, 2 levels. One of them is 100,000. One of them is 55,000. But the whichever membership you buy, If you change your mind and you want to buy a garage condo later, that amount of money you paid for the membership gets deducted from the price of the condo. So it's like an early down payment rather than wasted money. And the gold membership, the 55,000 membership, we're doing financing. We just announced it. And $7,000 down, and we'll do 48 months, no interest financing. So we just want to get some more members in here and, have a more, well, if you, like you said, if you have a yacht, you join a yacht club. If you play golf, you join a golf club. Now, if you have a fast car, any kind of car, you join a motorsports country club.
And they're starting to pop up all over the place. You've seen them all around the country, all around the world, and they're coming in pretty regularly. Every day you seem to hear about a new one that's popping up somewhere.
Yes.
Is it going to get to a point where there's going to be more than one in a given market, just like there are more than one golf course in a given market?
I don't think so. I don't think the market, it's possible, but like the one at Motor Enclave in Tampa, they sold 300 garage condos before they finished their track. And their track it's a Herman Tilke track also, but it's a very basic, couple straightaways, couple loops, and that's about it. And ours is a real, anybody that's raced at Mossport, they know turn 5A and B is a tough one. And it's tough on, I keep telling anybody I drive around there, I say, you have to visual track. When you come the first part of turn 5A, you better turn your head or you're going to miss 5B. And so it's a really technical track, but it really is a blast. We've had a motorcycle group called I don't know, but it's a motorcycle. They had 150 motorcycles on Saturday and Sunday. Both days they were sold out, and there wasn't a single motorcycle rider, not a single person that they had anything bad to say. They love it, and they keep coming back. And the motorcycle group got some airbags. So there's a couple places where motorcycles tires aren't even enough, so they put these airbags out there, and so it's pretty safe also.
Who is the modern day Motorsports Country Club member? What's he like? Or she?
The modern
day Motorsports Country Club member. What is he or she like? The reason why I say that, the old vision of a country club member was a little bit, stiff, and you think about the movie Caddyshack, right?
Yeah.
So what is the modern Motorsports Country Club member like?
The first garage condo building has 10 units. Each building has 10 units. I sold the first 10 out pretty quick. Between the first, second, and third units, the large and two mediums, there's probably, they own 50 cars. They need a place to park their cars, but it's not really enough. So each guy is going to keep maybe 3 or 4 cars there, but it gives them a place to. One guy's going to use it as his office. He's going to use it as his office, and when he feels like it, goes down for lunch. He drives down the fire lane right to the clubhouse, signs in, he drives around for lunch. I have another doctor that said, I'm going to be out there on Wednesdays, right after I'm done with surgery, roughly 11 o'clock, and I'd like you to have my car ready and pointed in the right direction, ready to go, and I'd like to hot rod around for an hour. And then I'll throw you the keys, and I have to get back to work and take care of my clients. And I said, well, what about the weekends? He goes, no, I go to the golf course. He said, drive. And I asked him what he was going to race, what he's going to drive out there. And we went downstairs in his building. He hit a button, and his concrete wall slid back, and there were like 10 unbelievable cars, up from Ferraris to Porsches, you name it. So it's a car aficionado. They never really had a chance to go race because they were busy. Now that they built their businesses up and they have the money, now they would like to learn how to race. None of them think they're going to be Mario Andretti or Michael Schumacher, but they would like to be a little bit better, and they'd like to enjoy their cars. And I know that I get a lot of speeding tickets, and I guarantee you so do they. I'm on the verge of a record, but I won't. That's another story. They would like to have a place to why do you get a Ferrari that goes 211 miles an hour? You can't really do it safely on the street. And so they wait for track days, or they'll go to COTA. And well, now they don't have to wait for a track day. They parked it. And a lot of them were buying garages that were just plain old garages in a warehouse district because their home garages were overfilled. And so they were parking cars there. I've had a couple guys sell their units in the warehouse garage area, and now they're waiting for me to finish because they bought units in garages of G2. So they get to have their garage right on the outside of the first three buildings, which is 30 units. The first three buildings are right on the outside of turn 4 and 5.
So the guy you explained or described is basically exactly who I think most of us expect would be buying in, millionaires/billionaires who have extensive collections and extensive resources to do this sort of thing. Is there going to be, just let's use the country club model on the golf side again. There is the high-end country club. There's usually some that are a little bit lower, and then you have your municipal golf courses out there. So for the average guy, is he ever going to be able to find a middle ground between a G2 and a municipal course? Or maybe he's going to be able to come play without owning a barn dominium on the property. Yes. At least maybe he has access to come pay a greens fee, if you will, and play for a day.
Yeah, we've got that. We're doing that. We're going to have, I told the members we're going to have regular open track days. But during those open track days, when we charge people to come, the members can join in and they can come for no charge. So as long as you're a member, you can come to the track day. If you don't want to come to the track day, that's fine, but we'll open it up to the public. But here's the other thing: if someone were to buy one of those lower price memberships, and I'm financing it, we have other garages. We have monthly rental garages. So I have 4 buildings with 14 units in each one. And it's got a 10-foot by 10-foot door. They can fit a lift in there. They can put all their tools, their tires, and they can become a member. And then they just rent one of these garages for like $600 a month. And now they back out of their own garage. They drive right down the fire lane, right to the clubhouse, and they're on track during every single member day. So that's the low priced option. And the fact that I'm going to finance that just so we can get a lot more members in, is going to work really good. And then I have 4 of those buildings. So I have 56 of the monthly rental garages. And those are going to be available probably by February. So if you buy a membership and you don't want to buy a condo, you rent one of those. Now, let's say your finances pick up and you hit the lottery. You want to buy a condo, not a problem. Everything you spent on your membership gets applied to the price of the condo. So if you bought a $55,000 membership, and now you buy a condo, deduct $55,000 off it, and it's a discount on your condo. If if the size of your yacht increases, So
yeah, is there a community developing between you owners of these motorsports country clubs? I mean, we've got them all over the place, as you mentioned, Enclave in Florida, and there's Arizona, Hawaii's in the process of building one. California has them. They're literally everywhere. Is there a whole industry popping up now?
There is an industry. I didn't invent it. I just copied what Brad Olshansky did in Pontiac, Michigan, and Tampa, Florida, and he sold out his every one of his garage condos up in Pontiac, Michigan, which is in the middle of Detroit. Who would have thought? But I think he sold 87 or 90 garage condo units, and some of these guys have gone in and spent millions of dollars in them. And then down in Tampa, they've done sort of the same thing. The market is slightly different, but Dallas. When I first got here 40 years ago, I called home to one of my buddies and I said, I have never seen so many Ferraris on the street ever in any city that I've ever been in. So there's a Ferrari dealer, there's a Lamborghini, there's a Pagani dealer, there's a bunch of Porsche dealers, Maseratis. Pagani. One of the guys that bought a large condo also has a $3.6 million Pagani. So, and then, so we have 2 large ones in every building. We have 4 mediums and we have 4 smalls. And one guy bought a large and a medium because a large wasn't enough for him. So he bought a large and a medium. And he's got 27 cars, and he'll probably only keep 5 or 6 here. I know, you're shaking your head. It boggles my mind. I'm a kid that pumped gas with, earning my way through college, and so it boggles my mind. But I got lucky enough to have and I worked hard enough. It's funny because when I got out of college, I became a math teacher so I could have summers off to race. That's the only reason. And my first year's pay was $7,900. And I got $250 more for being a wrestling coach. I actually got I'm a competitive guy. I got a scholarship for wrestling, and I did wrestling, lacrosse, and then after high school, I did boxing, Golden Gloves. And so I became a teacher at $7,009, and that was it. My dad was passed away. My mother was working in a laundry. It was just a low middle class Italian family from upstate New York, 35 miles from Watkins Glen. And Watkins Glen is what got me addicted to racing. So, hitchhiked down there when I was a kid, jumped the fence, didn't have any idea what was going on, but I wanted to see what all these red cars were. They were Ferraris. And we jumped the fence, and it was a Formula One race. And a few years later, I got a sponsor, and they took me into Super Bs, and I was racing at Watkins Glen in 1976. And I got the outside pole next to Tom Bagley, Bob Lazier, Herm Johnson, Howdy Holmes, Gordon Smiley. There was 5 of the top 6 guys went to Indy. And my sponsor said, we know there's money in racing because we put it there. And so it was just, I kept waiting for the phone call because here's this Italian kid on the front row at the Formula One weekend. Oh my gosh, but I'm still waiting for that call. So,
Yeah.
But not a problem. I mean, I just struggled along. And my best story is that when my sponsor dropped out, he sold the Super V. And so I called Steve Lathrop at Citation Engineering. And I said, Steve, how much is a Super V? He goes, without an engine, $27,000. And I said, how about this? How about if I come and work for you for nothing? You don't have to pay me anything. I'll work for you a month, 6 weeks, whatever it takes. And all I'll buy is the aluminum and the steel. It was a monocoque tub. And you'll let me use your shop, and I'll build my own car at night. And he used to call me Jalopy instead of Gelati, but he goes, Jalopy, if you're stupid enough to do that, come on out. So I did, and I left there with a Super V race car, and I slept in his barn for 30 days. And he had mercy on me. He fed me a couple times. And but Steve Lathrop, Citation Engineering, one of the guys that really I learned a lot out there. And so that's what happens.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Lou. I mean, great stories. Sorry to interrupt, but we are running out of time, and we have to get ready for our next session. So thank you, for sharing everything with us, and it was a pleasure to have you on. Thank you, Lou.
Thank you.
We are going to transition.
Registering on EPARTRADE is easy. To start, click on the Join for Free button on the homepage. First, search your company to see if it's already in our database. If you see your company on the list, click on it to select it. Then, choose Claim Company if you are one of the decision makers, an owner, marketing person, or main company contact. Or choose Join Company if you are an employee, and press Continue. If you couldn't find your company in our database, select Register a New Company. On the following page, fill out your name, email, phone number, job title, and choose a secure password. If you chose Register a New Company, you'll need to choose your business type. Select Supplier if you're looking to display products or services and connect with buyers. Choose Racing Business if you're looking to source new parts and connect with suppliers. Choose Race Team if you own or are a member of a professional race team. Then, enter your company name. Please provide a website, Facebook page, or LinkedIn if you have one. and choose to either claim or join the company. You can view and agree to our terms of use here. If you'd like to receive our weekly newsletter, choose Accept. Finally, click Register Now and your registration will be submitted for approval. An email will be sent to your inbox. Please confirm your email address and you will be approved shortly. Welcome to EPARTRADE.